If your whites aren't white or your image has a blue tint, your white balance is probably off. I'm gonna show you how to get it right the first time and how to fix it in post. White balance is essential to making sure that your camera is capturing the colors that you are actually seeing with your naked eye. Measured in Kelvin, your white balance can range from 1700K all the way up to 10,000K. Your 1700K will produce a warmer or a more yellow image, whereas your 10,000K will produce a cooler or a bluer image. And everything is just on a scale in between. When shooting video, you have to be mindful of the different types of lights that you are using. Typically, you want your camera to match your key light source. If you don't know the exact temperature of your key light source, or if your camera don't allow for you to adjust in increments, you can always use some of the presets. Now, while I suggest you use the presets, I'm also going to advise that you stay away from auto. Now, the problem with using auto white balance is that you are allowing your camera permission to change as its perception of the lighting situation changes. Now, this can work in vlogging situations where you're going from indoors to outdoor. However, if you are stationary and you are using the sun as your key light, for instance, you don't want your image changing throughout the duration of your video. That would just make it that much more tougher to fix and post. By using a preset such as a daylight or sunny or even tungsten, that will allow for you to have a consistent image and you can make consistent adjustments. If you're in a mood for a little bit of growth, a step up from using presets is to do a custom white balance by using a gray card. This particular gray card that I have here can be found on Amazon for about 10 bucks, and I will link it down in the description below. Now, you could use a gray card in one of two ways. One, you can light your set to exactly how you intend to shoot, and then use that gray card in order to capture an image in front of your key light and in front of your camera, so your camera can interpret exactly how light will be hitting. Following that, you would take a picture of your gray card in that placement and use that image under your set custom white balance function in your camera. Of course, exactly how you do this will vary depending on your brand. The second way you can use your gray card is by setting up your scene exactly how you intend to shoot once again. But before you go on to record your actual content, hold that gray card up in front of you, in front of your camera, and in front of your key light for a few seconds so that you can go back and adjust it in post if need be. Now, before I go into how you can fix it in post, if you've been getting any value at all from this video, tap that like button and consider sharing it with a friend. Okay, so this is probably what you've been waiting on: how to fix it in post. Now, I want to say, even though we are working inside of Adobe Premiere Pro, you should be able to figure out these tools in any program that you use because they will all have basically the same thing. So here we got the clip that I recorded specifically to fix in post. Then we have a clip from the custom white balance that we put together, as well as a clip using the preset of daylight. Now, the reason I chose this is because my key light up here is daylight balance, and so I just want you to see the difference in each of the ones. So fix it in post. You can see that it got like a slight bluish greenish tint over this, and so what I'm going to do is go up here to my workspaces and I'm going to go to color, right? So we can go ahead and fix this up. Here we are in color. Now, as you can see, Lumetri color is actually what popped up. And on the right hand side, under color, under basic corrections, it's a Doppler right here, right next to white balance. So just click on that and you have your Doppler pop up. Now, it's best practice to actually use that gray card at the top of every video that you shoot, so you can always go back later. This is something that I mentioned earlier in the video. So what I'm going to do is scrub here to the beginning of this clip where I'm actually holding up my gray card. And I'm gonna grab this Doppler again and just click right here on the gray card. Boom. And we can see the colors instantly change. And I'm just gonna go back to the end of this clip so we can see how I'm looking. All right, we see that there. Now we can compare that to the custom white balance that we set up earlier. Boom, it's slightly off. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. And for the daylight as well, they're all just in the same realm. So while it's not a perfect science, it's good enough to get you going, right? And if I was to take my color correction that I'm using in my video, because these are still log profiles, right? S log 3. And so if I was to take this adjustment layer right here and just drag it across the top of all three of them, we can see that looks a little dark, so it would need some adjustment for that one on the one that we just fixed in post. When it comes to our custom white balance, that looks pretty good. And our daylight looks pretty good as well. And so what we can really tell the difference is in the blue light that's hitting that back wall, where it's blue and then it might look a little purple, and it also looks a little purple in our daylight and our custom. Generally speaking, you will not have 3 different presets in your video. You would just have one. So if you just have the one and you're using your gray card, then you would have a consistent look across all of your footage, which is why I was against auto, and I mentioned that earlier in this video as well. So hopefully you found this useful to you, and you make a habit out of having that gray card. If you're not setting a custom balance, then having that gray card at the top of your video before you start recording your content, and you'll be able to just hold it up for a few seconds and it'll work out in your favor. I'm going to wrap this up right here because I really don't want you to hear my computer breathing heavy. And let's get back to it. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you feel as if this was a good use of your time. If you want to know how to master any camera, click this link here, and I'll see you in the next one. Love.